Hello, my name is LoG and welcome to part 2 of my pick and fingers power. Let's get started. Okay, let's recap real fast what we did in part 1. It was just those G chords and then that one D chord and then ending on the G, and that looked like this. G, then G again with 3 in the bass, G again with 5 in the bass, D with 3 in the bass, and then this single G. That's where we're starting for this part 2. So part 2, let me just play it for you real fast, sounds like this. That one, that, and that. So again, that's all we're doing. So in reality, it's kind of an idea of a chord, then going back and forth with what I would call its setup chord. I don't know if I've talked about this in anything on my YouTube, but I eventually will, and we'll talk about what's going on. So it's really simple. It's just a G chord. This is the same exact voicing actually as this, right? With the 1, 5, and then 3 up top. It's just now we're doing it on the A string up in a higher octave. So 1, 5, 3 on top again. That's the 1, the G, the 5, the D, B on top on the B string, the 3rd. Same picking pattern, right? Pick, finger, finger, same thing. Then after that, we do this shape right here. So what I'm doing here, I'm playing G sharp, E, B. This is actually an E chord with the 3rd in the bass. So instead of playing a normal E like 1, 3, 5, like that, I'm playing it with the 3rd in the bass, the 3rd right there, then the root, and then the 5th up top. So it's actually the same thing as what we've been doing this whole time. Remember that normal 3rd in the chord or 3rd in the bass chord looked like that. The 3rd, 5th root. I'm just taking the 5th, moving it up an octave, playing like this. So that first chord was G, then an E with G sharp in the bass, then A minor with 1, 5, 3, normal root in the bass. Again, A, E, C, normal A minor. Right hand's doing the same stuff. And then we have another one of these right here. This is an F sharp chord with the 3rd in the bass. So instead of playing the normal F sharp triad like this, 1, 3, 5, we have the 3rd in the bass. So 3, 5, 1, and we're doing the same thing that we did last time, taking the 5, moving it up an octave. So instead of 3, 5, 1, it's 3, 1, 5. And then we finish playing the single B, and that will start part 3 when we get to it. So the idea right here, it flows really pretty simply as you play it. You'll notice the low note is constantly moving like that, just 1 fret at a time. So check that out. Super common idea. And what's happening here is I'm really playing, you can think about it like 2 chords. I'm playing G, A minor, and I'll add in the B right here. So let's say the B is the 3rd chord. So I'm really playing a G, A minor, B, and I'm playing these setup chords, as I call them, chords that set up the chords that you're moving to. So I play G, instead of going right to A, I play G and then the E, which sets up the A. So you'll notice that when I play the G and then you hear this, your ears kind of want to hear that. It's a super common idea. I'm going to probably talk about it at some point down the road on my YouTube channel. It's been used for hundreds of years. I mean, Beethoven was doing it, Mozart was doing it, Bach was doing it in like the 1600s or whenever he was alive. It's a super common idea. So it's just a setup chord. It sets up the next chord that you're moving to. So we've got the G, the setup chord of the A minor, then the A minor, then the setup chord of the B, and then the B. That's all that's happening right there. And the setup chords, of course, we've got G, then this is actually an E chord. So in reality, if I just played the progression just with normal chords, it would actually be this: G, E, which sets up the A minor, then the F sharp, which sets up the B. So that would sound like this. And then I'll just play B major for the last one. So I'm sure you've heard sounds like that before. It's ridiculously common. Going to talk about it down the road, so stay tuned for that. Again, this part, really simple. G, right? The setup chord to A. This is E with G sharp in the bass, the 3rd in the bass. Looks like this, if you can see that. Turn my guitar a little bit. So G, E with 3rd in the bass, A minor, F sharp with 3rd in the bass. Notice the F sharp, the major chords with 3rd in the bass look exactly the same. This was the E, this is the F sharp. It's just moving up 2 frets because E and F sharp are 2 frets away, right? Really simple. G again, E with G sharp in the bass, A minor, F sharp with A sharp in the bass, it's 3rd, and then finally the B. And we're not really playing a B chord right there. We're actually playing something slightly different that we'll cover in the next part, but we're just going to play this single note right there. That's it, just the B. So again, play a little slower. The really nice thing about this is the right hand is literally doing the same thing, never changes strings, it's always doing the same. It's A string, D string, B string, that's it. A string, D string, B string, 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 then the A string again. It's always doing the same thing, really, really simple. Same concept as we talked about in the last one. If you want to play the chords static like this, that'll be a good idea if you want to hold them all together. So you're playing the pattern here, but they sound like chords over here. This one's a little harder to do that, or you can play them separate. Like that, up to you, whichever one you want to practice at the end. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So this track will move from 70 to 140 BPM, and then we're going to do this track of just this. Just that, and then we're going to do parts 1 and 2 together, again from 70 to 140, and that would sound like this all together. So part 1, part 2, and then ending there, I'll play a little slower. And then that's what's going to happen. So part 2 just by itself, and then both of them combined. So again, both of them are 70 to 140. So I hope all this stuff makes sense. Let's get on to the track. that does it for part 2 of this pick and fingers power up. If you enjoyed this type of instructional material, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below, and I'll see you in part 3.